Hi and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave and this is episode 1521B and today's date is March 14th, 2018 and the title of the episode is Deep State Lays the Groundwork for Their Upcoming Events. Now I just wanted to make an announcement. I uploaded a new interview with Bill Holter on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight, it'll bring you to the interview. Or you can come over to x22report.com or newsentinel.com, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right hand side, you can play the interview right on the site, or go to Steemit, that is steemit.com/X22Report, and you can play the interview right on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, as we reported yesterday, the House Intelligence Committee, they decided to drop the Russian collusion thing after 14 months of finding absolutely nothing. Now, Mueller, he's been investigating, digging, and he found things like, oh, you lied to the FBI, and not much else. I mean, yes, he's picked up on Manafort and some funds that he's been shuffling around, but this has nothing to do with Trump, has nothing to do with collusion, has nothing to do with anything, actually. Now, Mueller, his star witness against Trump, well, he's been caught partying with close friend Bill Clinton on an island which people call Pedophile Island. Now, Mueller was relying on Mr. Nader, who is an advisor to the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, the de facto ruler of United Arab Emirates, because he was trying to find out if money came from United Arab Emirates and found its way to the Trump campaign, which would be illegal. Now, this has nothing to do with Russian collusion, once again, but they were trying to figure out something where they can get Trump. The problem is that Nader has been caught. And Mueller should be asking Nader, what were you doing on the island partying with Bill Clinton? And this island is known as the Pedophile Island. So the whole thing seems like it's completely falling apart. And remember, the Clintons have been caught helping fund the Trump dossier, which helped launch Mueller's probe. So the whole thing is going absolutely nowhere, and it's completely falling apart. We see the deep state, they are pushing their agenda. Now, what they've tried in the past was they tried to create something called fake news, but it backfired because Trump took it on and started calling the corporate media fake news. Then they said, okay, you know what we'll do? We will set up different parameters on YouTube and other places where we can remove the monetization of videos. Well, that didn't work either. They thought maybe they can put some of these individuals out of business because they don't make that much money anyhow, and if they're making nothing, they'll go on and find something else to do. Well, if you're not making that much in the beginning, taking away that money is really not going to do that much to you. Then, right before the latest event, they went back in time and they took down and gave channel strikes where they were discussing different events. And they said this is against our terms and policies, it's bullying, and things like that. Fast forward to today, what they did was they started to bring down channels, give people strikes, if they said anything about any type of an event. And they didn't show proof or anything why they took it down. Actually, Natural News, his entire channel was taken down. Jerome Corsi, his channel was taken down, that was brought back up. InfoWars, we know, got a couple strikes, but there are like many others that received strikes and their channels were taken down. And it looks like this is part of the new push to silence anyone that is out there trying to tell a different story. And even if these people or myself or anyone is just asking questions and maybe, looking at something and just asking a question, maybe getting it wrong, but just asking a question, they don't want this because it makes people think. And when you start using your brain, you have other questions, and then you start looking deeper and you find other information, and they don't want that to happen. And now what they're doing is they're going after any video that is considered a conspiracy video. They're saying that, we're going to be going after those channels that are talking about flat Earth or anything else that they deem conspiratorial But that's what they're doing right now. Now, they're going to be working with different organizations to provide links to show that why these videos are completely fake. They tried this with fake news. That didn't go over very well. And they're going to try different parties, third-party sources. They haven't named them yet. But it looks like there is a push to basically stop anyone that isn't in line with the official narrative. Even if you're asking questions or pointing things out, you might be totally wrong and someone might have a real explanation for it. But even if you're asking a question, you still should have the right to express your viewpoint. I mean, isn't that what freedom of the speech is? And we know that YouTube and Google and the rest, they've taken grants from the government. Actually, the intelligence agencies, they developed a lot of this stuff. So it's not like, ooh, they're a separate private company. They're intertwined with the government. But we can see what's happening out in London. We see the London mayor is trying to justify mass censorship by reading mean tweets, saying this is why we need to remove postings containing hate speech. Well, again, everyone is a little confused about free speech here. Free speech is any speech. You might not like it, but it's free to anyone. Once you start to say, okay, you know something? That hurts that group, this hurts this group, that hurts that group, that's controlled speech. It's not free anymore. If the people don't want to hear it, guess what? They'll turn away from it. Haven't they been doing this with the corporate media? If you don't want to listen anymore, you don't want to view or see what they're talking about, everyone turns the channel. Well, they can do that on social media. They don't have to believe it, or they can do research. That's the beauty of free speech. Everyone can say what's on their minds, and people can look at it and say, fake. Oh, let me look at this. Oh, no, I researched it. I'm never looking at this person again. They can do this. You're allowed to do this. That's free speech. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to control all of this. Now, we know there was an event in a town in the UK where Sergei Skripal was poisoned, and Theresa May was out there saying, oh, it's definitely Russia. We're just not going to provide any proof. And proof doesn't mean, oh, the Soviet Union created this nerve gas. The proof is to link Russia that they actually did this. But they don't have the proof. That's the problem right now. And we can see right now, the United Nations said Wednesday that Russia was responsible for a nerve agent attack on former Russian spy in England and urged the UN Security Council to hold Moscow accountable. Nikki Haley, this is the U.S. ambassador, said that the United States believes that Russia is responsible for the attack and the UN needs to do something. And she wants an emergency Security Council meeting. What I think is happening here, and we've seen this in the past, where every time the deep state tries to do something with the UN, Russia vetoes and says no way. Because Russia realizes that they don't have evidence, they have nothing to back any of their claims, and all they're asking for is evidence. I think their strategic move, the deep state, that's what they're doing right now, is to get Russia out of the Security Council. And I think what they've done is they launched a large-scale campaign to remove Russia from the UN Security Council. This way, if they are removed, the deep state, well, they don't have anyone blocking what they want to do. They want the UN to say we can go in there. It can be done. And Nikki Haley, once again, is out there speaking for the deep state. I mean, she did a great presentation on Iranian missile system, and no one believed her. So I think this whole thing with this poisoning, I think their agenda is to remove Russia so they can push a war. On the other hand, we have Trump and Mattis and anyone else that he can get to do what he wants them to do, he's trying to create peace with these different nations, just like with North Korea. It's hard to believe. Mattis is out in Afghanistan, and Mattis confirmed that he's not in Afghanistan to have a victory militarily. He sees victory coming in the form of political reconciliation. And he said that's not going to involve major peace talks. However, as Mattis called that a bridge too far, reflecting Trump's opposition to such talks with the Taliban. Now, what Trump does is he allows the corporate media to hear this, and the corporate media says, okay, he doesn't want peace talks. He's been saying, let's have no peace talks. Think about North Korea for a second. I'm not having talks with him. I don't want peace with him. He's a crazy man. He's Rocket Man. Think about all the things that he's done. And the corporate media played up on this. And they took it, they ran with it, they loved it. And now, Kim Jong-un says he would like to have talks with Trump, and Trump says, okay, let's have talks. It was set up this way. The same thing is happening in Afghanistan. He's using the same exact tactic. And we're going to see peace in Afghanistan. We're going to see the Islamic State removed from Afghanistan. They're already in the process of removing all the poppy fields. I mean, have they removed all of them? No. They're in the process of doing this because this is what the intelligence agencies, the deep state, uses to fund their covert operations around the world. But we can see the deep state, they're not letting up. They are laying the groundwork for the next event. And they know they need to do this very, very quickly because they're losing control of the Middle East. They're losing control of North Korea. They see it. I mean, they're talking about peace. So what they're saying right now is that certain groups within the United States, militarily, intelligence, they have found that North Korea has been running a large underground military base in Syria that could be used for advanced weaponry and nuclear-related work. Now, this is according to a regional report and U.S. officials tracking the situation. They're saying that the report shows that North Korea has neared completion of the construction of an underground military base located in Syria, near the hometown of President Assad. Amazing. And they're saying they have the satellite images, and it shows that, yes, there is an underground facility. And it could even be used to create their chemical weapons. I mean, they just wrapped all this up together in one package, tied a bow around it, and said, we have North Korea, we have Syria, they're creating nuclear weapons and chemical weapons in this underground base near Assad. I mean, really? I mean, think about what they're trying to do right now. They are going to the extreme to push this. Now, while they're putting that out there, if they can remove Russia from the UN Security Council and the deep state can have their way in the UN to say, listen, we want to go into Syria, we want to go into North Korea, we want to do something before they use those weapons, well, Russia's blocking them right now. Get rid of Russia, they're no longer blocked. And they can have the coalition forces go in and attack, bomb Syria and North Korea. I mean, think about what they're doing right now. They're pushing the agenda to the extreme because they're running out of time. This is why they're wrapping it all up all together. And the whole thing's propaganda. The whole thing is fake, phony, false. It's pure propaganda. Just like the chemical attacks in Syria, just like Assad is poisoning his own people, just like everything they've been telling us. It's just propaganda once again to get us into war. Now, Q mentioned that Trump wanted a military parade. Trump was out there saying he wanted a military parade on 11/11/2018, which is the 100th anniversary of World War I. And from what we can see is this parade might be the end of all wars and troops would be coming home. I mean, is this possible? Maybe. But it looks like Trump is going to be getting his way. It looks like his parade on November 11th gets the thumbs up. But they're not going to be using tanks because they might hurt the roadways. But it looks like they are going to do this. Now, there's going to be others that are going to protest this. There's going to be opposition parades during this time. But they have told us that this is going to be a parade that we will never forget. And again, this is the 100th anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I. And what everyone is thinking is, one, this is going to be a parade which means that all wars have ended and troops are coming home. Or two, they'll be parading down those people who have committed treason in the United States. Now, I think it's going to be the first one where the wars have ended, the troops are coming home, and this is a day that we will never forget. And think about how many troops, how long the wars have been going on. This would be a fantastic thing if it does happen. And it looks like we are headed in that direction. So sit tight. We are coming up to another deep state dead cat bounce. They're laying the groundwork. And I think we're going to see an event very, very soon. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.